All right, so to start, we have Group A, which features the host of this tournament, Qatar, paired up alongside Lebanon, China, and Tajikistan. Let's key in on Qatar first, since they are the defending champions of this tournament, having won it in 2019. Now currently coached by Tintin Marquez. What are your thoughts on this Qatari team heading into this tournament? Are they going to be able to do the same thing they did 4 or 5 years ago, or is this a completely new team that we're expecting to see?
It's a bit of deja vu saying Qatar are hosts of yet another international tournament. They were hosts in 2011 for this AFC Asian Cup. Obviously, they just held one of the most high-tech World Cups the world has ever seen last year. And now here they are once again, hosts here in 2023, technically 2024, AFC Asian Cup. But, before we get into the analysis of that, I just want to say it actually wasn't supposed to be like this. China were the original hosts. Mm-hmm. And due to their zero COVID policy, which is completely understandable, AFC had no choice but to look elsewhere for hosts. So they did a quick scan of the AFC Confederation. Well, obviously there's an oasis in the desert and it's Qatar, bro. The facilities that they have, it was an easy choice to just kind of give the hosting rights to Qatar. And look, low key, I'm actually really excited for it because last year's World Cup was just insane visually. Yeah. Like every stadium was so unique, so high tech, so pretty. So the fact that we get to go immediately back there, kind of fun. Yeah, honestly, kind of fun.
Dude, it's an interesting aspect because I'm gonna feel a little bit of nostalgia being back in these stadiums. And once I see the Lusail host another final yet again, bro, like I might get flashbacks, bro, of what just happened there 12 months ago, dude. So it's actually really crazy that we get to see the second opportunity for Qatar to host. And I do think it's merited because they put so much work into preparing that country to host a major tournament. Why not just do it again, but for the Asian Cup? I'm all for it.
All for it. And as you said, Qatar are the reigning champions of the AFC Asian Cup. And in case you didn't know, let me remind everybody here. The way that they won it in 2019 was one of the most improbable victories at any international tournament ever. Dude, they conceded only one goal the entire tournament, and that was in the final against Japan 3-1. And that's the thing. They killed Japan. It wasn't even close. So they shut out every single team that they played in the road to that final. And, dude, they were scoring goals like it was nothing. 3-0, 4-0. I think they had a 6-0 at one point or something like that. Almoez Ali, who was here at this tournament again, scored 9 goals. 9 goals, almost double digits in a little international tournament. Absolutely ridiculous. But when you look at it, they had a lot going for them, bro. Like the amount of motivators that they had going into that tournament, it kind of made sense. You had an excellent coach in Felix Sanchez, who, by the way, if you're Ecuadorian, you should be really excited about that. But then they also knew that they were going to host the World Cup a couple of years later. So they had a good crop of talent, and it all came together to create this like beautiful moment for Qatar in 2019. And here's what's crazy is that after that, they played in the Copa America, they played in a couple of Gold Cups, and each time, I think the performance has kind of dipped. And going into 2022, I think they hit their lowest point. Because let's just be honest here, the World Cup was an absolute disaster for Qatar. Absolute disaster. The amount of I've never seen a team so nervous as Qatar in that, other than in that opener against Ecuador. And they never found themselves. And that's the thing, is that I think since they won it in 2019, Qatar has slowly lost their identity and completely lost themselves last year at the World Cup. And so that's where we are right now. Qatar are in a state of picking up the pieces. They still have a lot of good talent. And now it's just a matter of, can they put it together to go and defend their title? I think it's going to be tough. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The talent's there. There's still some really, really good players. But I just think the situation doesn't look good. Again, they don't really have that same motivation that they had 5 years ago. Carlos Queiroz was appointed as the coach after the World Cup.
Queiroz ball.
And I was actually okay with that decision. But he left literally a month ago in December a month before the tournament, and they hired Tintin Marquez, who is coaching Qatar for the last 5 years from Al Wakra. I think it's a good move because he knows the league very, very well. But again, there's just a lot of unknown with Qatar right now, and ultimately, I just don't think it bodes well for their chances of defending the title.
Yeah, as a contender, I can't put them in that contender conversation because of that. I mean, they've had a crazy ride. You've highlighted that, bro. They beat Mexico at one point, 1-0 here in the United States. But overall, I agree. When it comes to these international tournaments, they've dipped and they haven't shown out the way that's been expected of them. I do wonder, what does that experience end up resulting in? Because they've had so much international tournament experience in the past 5 years, more than any other team I think in the world. With the fact that they competed in the Copa America and the World Cup and the Gold Cup as well, they have been so good about making these appearances and getting these chances to, you know, feel that big stage presence. Will that ever result in something positive? I think at this tournament specifically, it won't. But when it comes to getting out of this group, I think it will. And that's why I ultimately do see Qatar making it out.
Yeah, I actually completely agree because when you look at the squad, all you see is familiar faces. You have Al-Sheeb in goal. And then up in front of him for the center backs, you still have Boualem Kouki, Bassam Al-Rawi, Salman Tarek. You still have Roro on the right back. And then in the midfield, captain Hassan Al-Khaidos is there. Hatem is there as well. Up top, Almoez Ali, Akram Afif. The same guys that have been playing with each other for the last 5-6 years are literally still here. And I agree. I think it will be enough to get out of this group for Qatar. I just think all of the external factors that have been leading up to this unfortunately won't allow them to have a deep run. There's some new faces too, though, that Tintin Marquez has tried to employ over the last couple of friendlies. Khalid Munir, Lucas Mendez, who just got naturalized, both played with Al Wakra with Marquez. And so that's interesting. I kind of like that. You know, why not just bring the players that you know really, really well? And then, of course, there's other players like Mashal, Mohamed Wad, who've kind of been in the fringes. I think they'll see them get more playing time in this tournament. But, yeah, I just think Qatar won't make a deep run, but they still got talent. You know, they still got some good players.
That being said, though, I think we can both agree that when it comes to this group, Qatar is the better team with more quality to offer in comparison to all the other teams, which then leads me to my next question. Of the three remaining teams, Tajikistan, China, Lebanon, which would you consider to be the weakest?
Oh, that's a crazy question because honestly, the way I see this entire group for second place position, I think it's wide open. I think it's wide open. And there's several reasons why. Each one's a little bit different for each team. The weakest team?
Weakest, though. I need the weakest one right here. Essentially the one that will not find qualification or even have a chance to do a third place finish.
That's tough because I truly think any permutation can occur in this group for second and third place. If China and Tajikistan get through, won't be surprised. If Lebanon and Tajikistan go through, won't be surprised. I honestly don't see a true weak link. Now, maybe external factors, you might be able to say Tajikistan because this is their first AFC Asian Cup ever. They're debutants, and honestly, dude, what a story. And let's just go in on this team real quick because they've only been playing football in Tajikistan for 30 years, technically, because you know they arose due to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. But it's been a crazy rise for them because they've essentially started from nothing. And over the last, let's say, 5-6 years, they've slowly just continued to improve based on all of the results. And now they find themselves here at the biggest tournament that they could get themselves into continentally. So for Tajikistan, this is a huge moment for them to just kind of tell all of the rest of Asia that, hey, we're here and this might not be the last you see of us.
I don't think so.
I think Tajikistan right now are on a really good, steady progression with at least how they're playing football right now.
Yeah, they're ranked 106 right now in FIFA's rankings. Their highest FIFA ranking since 2013. In 10 years, they've progressed so much in this sport, and they've shown it already on the pitch. The second youngest team at the Asian Cup with an average of 24.62 years of age. So I think that just goes to show, like, they're putting a lot of their efforts into developing this country, and they're right at the beginning of that process right now with how young this team is.
Yeah, and actually I like that because the way that I see Tajikistan is they're developing the game right in this country. I've watched a lot of AFC Champions League this year, and I saw Istiklal, Tajikistan's champions, participate in it. And they were in a really tough group with Al Duhail, Iranian giants Persepolis and the great Al Nassr with Cristiano Ronaldo. And yes, obviously they didn't get through the group, but my God, in every single game, they competed and they showed up, and even at times taking some good leads. So it's the football that is played in Tajikistan is that of a very high level. Sure, the efficiency is not going to be there. The execution is not going to be high level, but the way that they play, I think, is the right way.
I was thinking that too, man. When I was catching up on like their highlights and just seeing how they've been competing this past year, they have a team unity to them, bro.
Yeah.
And they have chemistry amongst themselves. I agree. They're not clinical finishers. They're not like these super flair type players, but there's like a philosophy that I see them trying to execute. It might still be too early to be able to compete against those elite teams, but there's something good there, bro. There's something good that I think will result in them not getting fourth place, in my personal opinion. I think they're going to do a little bit better than what's being presented.
I actually completely agree. Out of all the teams here, I actually have Tajikistan not finishing in fourth place.
Perfect.
And I do think they can pull off something special here. It's going to be tough, though.
Yeah.
I mean, this is their first time, but it's also kind of the nice thing is that they truly have nothing to lose. No other Tajik has played in this tournament before, so there's no legacy to maintain. They get to define it right here. So it's really exciting to see it. They're the only debutants in the tournament, so this is going to be a really fun story to watch for Tajikistan.
Yeah. Currently second place right now in the World Cup qualifying group, led by Petar Sigert, I would assume is the way you say it, the Croatian. And some really impressive results with like a 6-1 win over Pakistan. They drew against Jordan recently, 1-1. This team has something special, and I want to see it be executed on the biggest stage in Asia. Now, one team that the team in this group that really had me kind of starstruck when I was reading upon them and catching up and researching, and the whole time I was curious, I was like, man, what does Soltero think about this specific country? Because the way they play can be so interesting. They can play the top teams well, but they still find a way to lose time and time again. Their population is incredibly huge, yet they've never been able to achieve something big on one of the biggest stages in Asia. And if you don't already know, I'm talking about China, man. China, I think, is such an enigma in how good they are in damn near every other sport that exists in this world. But when it comes to football, the most popular one, their ass, man. Yeah. They really have been. And there hasn't been much progression within the country in this sport. I'm curious to know your thoughts on China and how you see them panning out in this tournament, being that they are technically the second highest rated team in this group and that they're led right now by Alexander Jankovic.
China, bro. I hate to do this, but I have honestly nothing but disappointment when I think about China. You already said it. No progression, but you could apply that over the last decade. They haven't done anything to prove that they can crack into the big five of the Asian Confederation. And when they do face the top 6 teams in Asia, they compete. Sure, they can keep it tight, but bro, they never win. Never. That has not changed over the last 10 years. And for China, even in AFC Asian Cup performances, it's almost always the same. They get out of the group stage and then they make an early exit in the knockout stage. Nothing has changed. And when I look at China's ability here in 2024, I low-key kind of see the same thing. And it just kind of sucks because it's obviously not their fault, but I was actually really excited that they were going to host this tournament because I think the people of China need some sort of motivator. They needed some sort of inspiration. And if hosting the tournament wasn't going to inspire the players, then maybe it would have inspired like a 14-year-old kid in the goddamn stands, bro. But now, unfortunately, they're just not going to get that, and that sucks. Because I truly do think that hosting a 24-team Asian Cup would have done a lot for China over the next 10 years. But again, it's not their fault, but again, it just adds to that feeling of disappointment because when I look at this Chinese team, truly, I don't think there's anything positive to look forward to.
Yeah, when I see the way they play and how they go about trying to get results in matches, it's so clear to me that all they can do is hope that their opponent makes a mistake. That's it. They can't really impose themselves on a team and play any sort of type of fluid football to generate a goal-scoring opportunity. And I hate that, bro. I hate that. There's nothing positive there. They have very little midfield presence as well. You watch a Chinese game, bro, it's back and forth for 90 minutes because it's just nonstop, no midfield presence. I think when I think about where I see them finishing off in this group, For me, it is below Tajikistan because I think the team unity that Tajikistan has just offers much more productivity on the pitch than what China has to offer in their style of play.
Yeah. There is one thing going for China, and it's just the fact that they do have experience, right? They pretty much appear in every single Asian Cup. They're always here. And again, they have a decent track record of getting out of the group stage. But it's because of that, dude. Like, they have nothing going for them offensively. They have Wu Lei, who's 32 years of age right now. He's kind of past it a little bit, but he was a baller in his time, and he's still their best player. They'll be looking to him to hopefully, look for some sort of creativity. Great stint at Espanyol, by the way. I just want to put that out there. Fucking loved watching him play in La Liga. But he's back in China now. And I digress. Going back to how they play it's just pure defensive. Instead of trying to outplay their opponents, they just try to outbully them physically. And the thing is, it works when their opponent is weaker than them. It works when their opponent doesn't have an offense. And when you look at, let's say, maybe Lebanon, or low-key, maybe even Tajikistan to an extent, China might be able to take advantage of the fact that these two teams are way less experienced and maybe don't have as good of offenses that could hurt China. So that's the only good thing going for China is that they're very defensive and they can be organized, but they have zero going for them offensively.
So based off of the three teams we've talked about already, Qatar, Tajikistan, and China, that's actually the order that I have it in. I have Tajikistan pulling off a crazy result, getting second place in this group, and China finishing in third. My question to you is, do you have China, where do you have them then? In second, third, or fourth?
Damn, bro, that's crazy because I was expecting to come in here and vouch for Tajikistan.
Damn, dude.
But I was wrong, bro, because I have them in second place as well.
Wow, okay.
I think, as you already said, their collectivity, their unity that they have, I think will outdo the physicality of China and the wild card that is Lebanon. I have Qatar finishing top of the group.
I think pretty easily.
I just think they are still one of the top teams in Asia from a quality perspective. I think it will shine here to some certain extent. And for China's interesting because they could end in third or fourth. I won't be surprised. Or honestly, if Tajikistan get a little nervous, China could get in second.
They could. It's not what I'm hoping for, but it could.
Yeah,
it could.
They really could. I really do think that the second place spot is wide open, but I think... God, this gets tough.
It's just so even between these three teams,
so
bro. It really
even.
is. And it's when it's low-level football like this, it really could go either way, bro. A dog could come on the pitch and impact the flow of the match, man.
Yeah, man.
It's different out there, man.
It's different out there. I think for the experience, I'll go China in third.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
To be noted, 4 out of 6 third-place teams will qualify into the next round. So maybe they can be part of that small pack, or maybe they can be part of the 2 teams that don't end up qualifying despite finishing in third. That's what I'm hoping for because I'm here for the Chinese downfall.
And what's interesting, though, is Tajikistan played China first.
Yeah, that's going to be massive,
That's
man.
massive. It's a huge opener because if Tajikistan can assert themselves and get 3 points off the bat, then it's done. They're getting second place, and China's all of a sudden scrambling against Lebanon and Qatar.
Yeah, in the meantime, Lebanon will start off their tournament against Qatar, and I think that's tough. It's so tough to start off a tournament like this with a game that you're already being expected to lose in. And I do see Lebanon as the weakest team in this group with a 107th FIFA ranking coached by Miodrag Radulovic, the oldest team at the Asian Cup with an average of 29.76 years of age. That's producer Rudd, bro. That's that age right there, man.
A geezer, man.
A geezer, bro. But with a really, really interesting player.
Please.
You know, I immediately, man, my Mexican genes just started fucking alarming me that something of my nature was in this team. No. Daniel Laud plays for Atlante, bro. Atlante in La Liga de Expansión. 6 goals this season, bro. And he's had 10 years in Monterrey and with Querétaro.
Right.
We have a Mexican turned Lebanese player playing for this Lebanon team, bro. Insane.
Crazy, bro. There's a fucking Mexican in the Asian Cup. They found their way through, man. And honestly, I'm here for it. Crazy that a Liga de Expansión player is getting recognized in a massive tournament like this.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. And he just got the call up too, like 2 months ago. And honestly, it looks like he's down for it. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
But whether he starts or not, I'm not 100% sure. But what's crazy is that the CONCACAF connection doesn't end there. Sunni Saad also got the call up for Lebanon. He plays in Malaysia right now.
Okay.
But if you're a Sporting KC fan, you will know him because he played for Kansas City for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
In the mid 2010s, and then he moved over to Asia after he kind of fell
Kansas
off.
Kansas City to Asia is one of the craziest like culture shocks you could ever receive. Jesus Christ!
And he's like born in America, like he's American with Lebanese descent.
Yeah.
Just like Lahoud receiving the calls of his ancestors to kind of perform for Lebanon.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens, man.
Yeah, this one he's born in Veracruz, bro. Like it's crazy how like Mexican this guy is. I think 24 years of age, but he was never gonna get that Mexican national team call up. So I get it. Go to your other half and see what you can do over there. And I'm interested to see if he does get that playing time for Lebanon. But as for the team as a whole, bro, they had a really rough 2022. Going winless in 6 full games. Their most impressive victory since then is beating India 1-0 in a friendly. And we'll talk about India soon, but all I'll say is that it's tough if that's your most impressive thing to show.
For sure.
They made it to the semis of the SAF championship, but those teams would lose to my Uncle Tony, my Aunt Rena, bro. Those teams are fucking ass, dude. Ass.
Please.
And ultimately, I think they get last because they just won't be able to string the results or get the momentum needed to actually compete, especially since they're starting the tournament off against Qatar. That's one of the worst situations to be in. You then have to get points against a Chinese team or against a Tajikistan team that we predict will actually have some momentum behind them. I think it's going to be really tough for Lebanon to find any sort of flow in this tournament, and that's going to result in them getting 4th place for me.
I have Lebanon finishing in 4th place, but it's kind of crazy because I don't want to be too harsh here. Back in 2019, Lebanon actually had a great outing. I saw them play, and it was good football. It wasn't as bad as I think a lot of people might have in their heads, or at least what their recent results kind of look like. The reason why I just don't have Lebanon getting out of the group stage is because they just don't have an offense. And it really does show. It showed in 2019. I don't think much has changed. Radulovic, as you just said, was the coach back then, but he just got reappointed literally a month ago. So they're having a little bit of coaching debacle right now. They have some decent players, and I want to highlight a couple of them.
Go for it, man.
First off, 36-year-old, I believe he's 36. Their captain, Hassan Matouk. Decent player, but he's just old. He's a little bit past it. Hilal Al-Helwe, huge 6'2", number 9, your classic physical forward. He'll be looking to get on the end of a lot of balls. In the midfield, I remember they had this huge central defensive midfielder, Felix Melki, I believe was his name. I believe he received the call-up once again, too. And then there's Dre D's a good forward as well for this team. So they have a little bit going for them. But overall, I just think they won't be able to break a defensive China and a unified Tajikistan. So for those reasons, I just have Lebanon finishing 4th.
Wow.
And it sounds a little harsh because I don't see them as a really, really bad team, but pit them against these type of teams, and I just don't see them getting out.
So the final group predictions then were aligned to start off.
Okay.
Qatar first, Tajikistan second, China third, and Lebanon in 4th.
Yep.
All right, man. We'll see how this one goes, but it'll be an interesting group. I definitely do think overall it's one of the weaker ones.
Absolutely. And even when you look at the top team in Qatar, out of all the big 6, I have Qatar as the weakest of those 6. So for sure, one of the weaker groups in this tournament.